G'day folks, welcome to another episode of Bandaged Cube Creations. Well, today's video is on the puzzle Sophia's Cross River. Very interesting puzzle. I have no idea who Sophia is, and I don't know that anyone else does. Well, Sophia does, but what I mean is this puzzle was not presented on the Twisty Puzzles forum thread by a Sophia or by anyone else. It has appeared in the Google Doc from Quador, and I contacted him about this and said, do you know anything about this puzzle? And he said, no, I wish I'd kept better notes or just more sources as where these puzzles came from. So we don't really know. Sophia, if you're out there, let me know and I'll update the listing. So this puzzle, if we look at it from this point of view here, has a bar at right down, and it also has a plate on left to left down. So they're opposite sides, and I think it's the first one I've done that has a plate, which is pretty cool. I believe it's called Cross River because it's kind of like there's a river running through the center here, and you got to kind of find a way to cross from here to here if you were a little person or something. That would be my understanding, but maybe that's completely wrong. So one of the things about this is that yes, the edges will flip. No, the corners will not twist in the normal fashion. And what I mean by that is what one corner does, all four do. So you'll see as we go, probably easiest to explain that as we look at it. The really good thing about this and the bad thing is that my method is normally edges first, then corners. You've seen that in pretty much every video I've ever made. The thing about this is that doesn't work. I quickly realized I could not solve the edges and then find a way to solve the corners after that, because really the thing that is moving and flipping and all of that are the edges. And so I had to do a corners first method. And that corners first method was basically the corners were really simple, and then it was all about the edges. So I had to teach myself something. I had to learn how to do it. And I'm happy to say most of the algorithms here I worked out myself. There is one algorithm that I could not quite get, and I thought I'm just not going to spend days on end thinking about this. So I'll alert you to that. And how are we going to scramble it? Well, obviously this sort of thing is totally fine and easy to do. You can see it's getting there. I also want to do stuff like move those out of the way just to free up one of these faces. And you'll notice at the moment, gee, that looks, well, look, I just found some kind of cool cycle. There you go. The corners are still all yellow on top. And in fact, nothing really has changed there with those corners, which is interesting in and of itself. I can also do this on the back. What I can't do, I actually just put them on the back. I meant do them on the front here and turn the back. What I can't do is turn one this way and one that way because everything's blocked because of the nature of the bandage parts. So what I then need to do is something that'll free up some of these middle layer pieces also, and we're going to find that will do things to the corners that have not been done so far. And what I mean is, yeah, you know, okay, they kind of do twist. I suppose you could look at it like that, but you could also look at it and say they're all front and back, or they're all left and right. So even if I go and do something like this, now they're just front and back again. They're not, you can see that move of turning this right face is going to take them from the yellow on top to the yellow on sides or front, but it's not really going to do anything else, and they all stay together. And I'll demonstrate that when I come to solve the corners, which is not too far from now because I'm nearly scrambled. At this point, I'd just like to see that I can get most stuff moved from where it should be. So do some moves which may not be quite so random. Let's see if we can. I've got that out of there. That's good. Just making sure that these pieces are out. And what else? Probably separate that one. that's looking pretty decent. Hey, everything looks pretty okay. All right, probably time to get going on this now. So the first thing that I do want to do is get the corners back to where they should be. And the only way to do that from this point of view is to put them on the front, not the side, but the front, and then to do a right 2, then an up 2, and now do a right turn either direction. Doesn't matter, just so the yellows appear on the top. You'll notice the correct corners have appeared there. Now do a U2, now a right 2, and oh my goodness, the correct corners have appeared here too. At worst, I now do 2 turns and the corners are home. And that's kind of what I mean by, do they twist? I suppose maybe you could argue they do, but they just don't twist in the way that we are used to. So that is the really quick first step, and that right 2, up 2 is a key component of this all the way through. Now, I can move these centers around as I need to. They're not going to affect the corners. The next thing that I want to do is place these 2 middle layer edges, and this middle layer is the E layer. So E being the same as D, and then this one is the M corresponding to L. That's how that works. What's the other one? This one here, I don't think it's G, and I don't think it's C. I think it's S, but I'm not sure why. Anyway, we don't need that one. So corners are done. Let's place this blue red. Now, the first thing that I want to do is get the blue red into this position, but oriented so that it will roll to that position. So at the moment that's flipped. So I just want to bring it up to the top face, give it a U2, and now bring it back down. So now if it could roll, it would onto that position. Now don't worry about the centers because they can be moved later. Here's essentially what I want to do. I want to bring this position up to there. Then I want to cycle this blue-red into that position and then return it to this starting position here. That's the theory. So how are we going to do this? Well, the first thing to get that to there, I want to do an R2 and just follow where that piece goes. R2, U2, and now R. The piece is here at the moment. So now I do an R and then U2, R2. There it is. So I've moved that piece from that position up to the top here. Now I'm going to cycle the blue-red into that green-red position right there. The way I'm going to do that is again a fairly straightforward sequence. I did find this one, probably because it's easy. And it is simply M prime U, M U, and repeat. M prime U, M U. And you can see that blue-red is now there. To be clear, I am not claiming I'm the only one that's ever found this. I'm probably about the millionth person to find it, but I did find it myself. Okay, so that's there. Now we want to place it back into that position. How are we going to do it? We're going to reverse what we did to put it there. So R2, U2, and this time instead of an R turn, I'm going to do an R prime, following that red, blue there. Now the U2, now the right 2, and that is in position. And you can kind of tell that just by turning the centers. Notice that the corners are back to where they should be. In other words, putting this up to here knocked the corners out, but putting it back, put them back in. And that's why that little routine does not affect that. Okay, the next thing I want to do is this other piece, the red-green. So I want the red-green over here, and for that I'm just going to do R2, U2, and then an R2, and then a U2, R2. And that's stored over there. This is ready to be placed. I just got to grab the red-green and get it down into this position. Is that oriented correctly? No. That now is. And so I am ready to go here. So right 2, up 2, right, up 2, right 2 to bring its position out. Now I'm going to cycle it. All done. And now return. Right 2, up 2, and then a right prime, up 2, right 2. Now that's all done. You'll notice it's kind of back to front and the centers are out because that's where this belongs. So that's no problem. All we want to do now is to switch these around. Right 2, up 2, right 2, up 2, right 2. Finally, we want the correct center there, so we can just move that M layer across. Corners are back, we might as well put them into position, looking better. So we've got the corners done, we've got these 2 edges here done. Now we're actually on the home stretch. So what I want to do now is solve the remaining edges. Now, I may not have them oriented correctly, but I want them in position. So the first lot that I want to do are the yellow, orange, and the yellow, red. Now, I'm going to pick one of them. There's a yellow, orange, and I'm going to place that into its position. And a really nice cycle is this piece to here, this piece to here, this piece up to here. Well, that's what I want, the yellow, orange to go there. And here's what that cycle is. A left and a right prime, so bring them towards you. Front 2, return them, up 2. That is the cycle, and you'll see that has been placed there. The corners are out because we did a setup at the beginning. So the yellow, orange is in. I now want to do the same thing for the yellow, red. Now, in order to get the yellow, red in and not disturb the yellow, orange, you'll notice the 3 edges here were cycling. This one at the back was not. So I'm just going to temporarily move the yellow, orange to the back. Now I can place the yellow, red where I want it by turning the corners around. And when I've done that, let's have a look. The yellow, red will go to here. And in fact, let's just ponder if that's going to work, because I actually don't want to do that. I want to place the yellow, red to here so that when I bring the yellow, orange back, the yellow, red will go to here. That is the key. Okay, so once again, that is now done. And as I said, I now turn that back. The yellow, red's in, the yellow, orange is in. I can return them. Those 2 side ones are done. You'll notice nothing else has been touched. Now I've got the remaining 4 corners here. As I have a 3 cycle here, I firstly want to get the white, green where the white, blue is. So let's just turn that, and I can see that has got to go to there. Now, I can either do this sequence twice, or I can just reverse the sequence. So if I reverse it so that the piece movement is like that, then it will be the U2 first, then move them down, do a front 2, and move them back up. And the white, green has been placed. I can return that. And to be honest, so have the other 3. So one of them must have been in already, but if they weren't placed, I'd just do the same thing. Just be carrying out this sequence. There we go. I've just set up a little 3 cycle there for us to deal with. Yellow, blue to yellow, green to white, blue. So it's going this direction. So I would do the U2 first, then the F2. And as I said, we've got corners and edges now placed. So the only thing remaining is to flip any edges. Now this is the sequence that I could not quite find myself. So what I'm going to do, and we're always going to flip 2 opposite edges. So that's an interesting one. What happens if I get adjacent edges like this? Well, what it means is that I'm just going to do a setup first to get them in position. So let me flip 2 opposite ones just to show you the main sequence, to flip up front and up back. And what that's going to still leave me with is the adjacent 2 here. So here it is. It is MU times 4. My goodness, it looks a mess. And then the reverse of that, UM times 4. It's not really an edge piece series, is it? But it's still, I guess, a combination of moves. And, you know, I'm fully expecting in these bandaged cubes, I am going to have to be doing new things. So that has shown it's flipped the one at the back, the one at the front. Okay, so now let's say that I've got a situation like this, and I want to, or in fact, it could be like this. I want to get this piece over to there in order to flip it and not touch this one. So what I'm going to do is move it to that position. To do that, I turn both of these things, move it up to there, and return them. That is the only setup I do before I flip them. So let's now flip the edges in the same way. MU times 4. and then a UM times 4. Now that's been done. Let's now put this back where it went before. So I turn that around to there, undo, bring it back, and you can see they are all done. And in fact, the whole puzzle, Sophia's Cross River, is solved. So that, as I said, was quite a different sort of puzzle for me, the first of its kind. And I guess it's happened because of these two opposing parts here. I'm going to have to think more about why that happens. But I really enjoyed thinking it through, being challenged. It's still not what I'd call, I guess, a mega difficult cube. Maybe it is, I don't know. That's Sophia's Cross River. Well, this is the puzzle for the next video. This one is called the Bandaged Clock Uranus. And it's similar to the Saturn, but the difference is on the Saturn, the white face and the yellow face were clear, and the 4 faces in here had clocks. On this one, you can see the green face does not, but the yellow face does. So it's kind of been moved from there to there. And so what we have is 4 clocks sort of around a couple of corners, and then 2 adjacent faces which have no bandage parts on them. Doesn't mean they necessarily turn, for example, but in fact, neither of them turn at the moment, but that's the difference. So this is a similar, but definitely more involved solve than the Saturn. Be good to see why that is the case in the next video.